Hi, everyone. I'm here with Karen Kluba from Rosewood Manor, my very favorite cross-stitch designer. And I asked permission if she would come on my channel and do an interview and I wanted her to be my very first designer interview. And she gracefully made time for me. And so without much ado, here's Karen. And I just have a few questions for you. Thank you so much, Karen, for coming on and doing this for me. It just makes me so happy.
I'm thrilled.
I guess my first question is, what inspired you to start your company, Rosewood Manor?
Well, I've really been stitching all my life in some way, shape, or form. I did a lot of embroidery a long time ago. At some point, I got into kind of cross stitch. Really, I started I started working for a company back in the, oh my goodness, when was that? That would have been, when did we move to St. Louis, Missouri? It would have been early, well, mid 70s, I guess. So I started cross stitching then. And I worked for a company called Better Homes and Gardens, but they had a craft, it was called Craft Creations.
Oh,
and
wow.
they home party plans, kind of like Tupperware, only you went and taught crafts.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I did that, and that's where I learned to then do counted cross stitch. And so I did that for, I don't know, probably 3-ish years. And slowly things changed, life changed, and they kind of went out of business with that part of their, you know, their thing for Better Homes and Gardens. But at least I learned how to cross stitch there. And then I started doing craft shows, and I actually designed small little pieces and sold them at craft shows. You know, things you would put in your kitchen, or, you know, just a small little thing that it could be cross stitch fast. And I had people kind of stitching for me, but I designed them. I gave those out, and they stitched them, and then I did the finishing work and sold them at craft shows. So I did that. Then we went into all kinds of other stuff with, you know, with girls and all of their crazy things. And
oh yeah,
and I went in, I had a little gift shop that sold, again, the finished stuff. And as we go along here, then I started working with a sweatshirt company to design sweatshirts, and they would silk screen them on, and it looked like cross stitch, but it wasn't. So I did all kinds of designs for them, and got my courage up that I could really go ahead and design. And then my husband actually got transferred in his job to Ireland. So he spent 2 years in Ireland, 2 years in England. During that time, I was actually, and this is a long story, but during that time, I actually then was still working for the sweatshirt company. And I would send the designs, and I literally cut and pasted things to get it to so that they can figure out their silk screen design and all this. So then when we came back to the States, at that point now, I'm just gonna have my 50th birthday. And so I thought, I think I want to design. So I sent in a few things to a couple of the kit companies to see if I could actually take them and I could, you know, I could get money for them, and, you know, they would pay me as they sold and all this other stuff. So, and it was literally on my 50th birthday, I got a call from, it used to be the Stitchery magazine catalog.
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
And so I had sent something to them, and the lady calls me on the phone and she says, because now I was working with a computer and being able to do things. And she said, do you have models for your designs that you sent me? And I said, well, 2 of them. One of them was the American flag that I know you like.
Right, I love it.
And I said, so I have that one done, and I have another one partly done. And she said, well, how fast can you get them? Because I want the designs. So she was going to sell them in kit form. So I hurried like crazy. Anyway, so then I graduated from that and decided that I would open my own design business and sell the books and through a kit company and collect royalties and all that. So
Right.
that's, it was a whole long process, but I feel like it started that day whenever she called me on the phone at 50 years old. And so I always tell my girls, you can do anything, anytime. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter, just go for it. So
That's so true.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm 45 and I'm now actually making that same decision to get on that starting process where I'm designing designs and stuff like that. So yeah. So tell me the story. I'm super excited. I just finished, and I think this is the first time I'm showing it, my Halloween quilt sampler. I don't have it finished yet, but I just loved stitching it. And as I did my progress, the girls and even some of the guys stitchers they're like, what are you doing next? They were so excited. And it was neat to see that several actually went out and bought it. And I was happy for that for you. Yeah. So tell me, what inspired you to design that, and how did that all come about?
Well, I've always liked quilts. And I knew somewhere along the way, I really figured out that most of the quilt blocks have names. So early on, when I started designing, that was going to be my focus, was to take quilt blocks and tell stories with them. And so I did some of that, and then I kind of ebbed and flowed with that and got away from it. But that one day I was looking for something in a name that I could use for one of my designs. And I kept coming up with all kinds of Halloween type blocks. And I thought, I think I can do this. I think I can make something out of this. So, some of these things just happen. You don't know where they're going to come.
Right.
But it worked. So it was fun. And it was just a fun design to do. And so, yeah.
And it's just adorable. I have, what do I do with it? There it is. I just love it. Grab it out of the thing. But it's great. You can do it as one, but I've actually thought, I think I'm going to do it a second time and do them all as ornaments.
Right.
And give some to some of my friends and whatnot. And so speaking of the Halloween quilt sampler, we've got in cahoots with me stitching this Halloween quilt sampler. On one of my previous videos, Flosstubes, I happened to show the American flag quilt sampler and found out several in our Facebook group had the pattern, and others went and purchased it. And there's going to be a stitch along January 1st. Okay. And if you're interested in doing this stitch along, everyone, it's going to be January 1st, and you've got to join the group Stitching 911, run by Stacy Alexander. But the creation of this is just, it gets me excited because I'm a veteran. Yeah. And I'm a third generation veteran. My great father-in-law was a World War I vet. My father-in-law was a World War II vet, and I was kind of Gulf War. I didn't go overseas, but and so patriotic stuff really rings true. And it's neat that in this part here, you did them all in order. And are all of the rest of the ones as they came into the Union as well?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That is just amazing.
Before we went, remember they did the quarters and they had and I did it before that and had it stitched well before that. And I thought it would have been cool to leave little spaces to put quarters in, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that's true, of course. Yeah,
Yes.
now that they came out with those quarters. Mhm.
The first 13 are in the blue, and I looked up in the history and made sure I had my dates right and all that. And I didn't put the dates on there. That could be done, but I put them in the order, and then kept them in the order that they were admitted to the union. So yeah.
Yes, it's amazing. And I didn't even realize that each state had a quilt block. It's just amazing. Wonderful. Well, I would like to know, what kind of designs would you like to show us today? Maybe some designs you'd like to talk about?
Well, since we're on the quilt blocks for a moment.
Okay, go ahead.
I have been working on it. I don't have them all done. I have some on my way, but I've been working on maps of each state. And using those quilt blocks that are on there. So at state quilt block, you see the state bird, the state tree, the nickname, the date they were admitted to the union, and then of course the shape of the states. And I try to put in as much detail, but there's a limit to what'll fit on there. but I put in there the major cities, the capital, and obviously the name is fairly big letters and all this. So I think I'm up to about somewhere close to 20 of those done now.
Wonderful.
And there are some on my website, but they're just a fun thing to do with those quilt blocks too. So that's So yes. So those are something that I'm working on. I've been doing a lot of smalls, and one of those with me because they're at a trunk show. So I try to work and go out and work for me. There's a piece here that that are smalls, but they're nothing to do with the Halloween ones. These are coming up later that I'll give you a little.
Ooh, is that ever pretty? That is gorgeous.
These are going to be kind of more Valentine. I've got 2 or 3 different ones.
Yes.
What's the fabric? It's from, let me look on there. It's plum from Fiber on a Whim. So basically what I've been trying to do with the smalls is that you can buy a fat quarter of the overdyed fabrics and then be able to do several different little pieces. And I put on there on these, and I will on some of the others, exactly how you can cut it out of that fat quarter to do 2 or 3 smalls or however many.
Okay, yeah. That's
the idea. So that's something that I've been working on because I create so many big things that it's crazy. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go over here.
No problem.
Room instead of by me, but anyway, these are old ones. I say old, they're not old, but
beautiful.
So this
wow.
is of the kingdom, and it has I used DMC, but then I also used some rainbow calorie threads. I don't know if you can see the sparkle or not, but
yes.
There is some sparkle parts in the golds and the reds. So it's a fun one to do. And again, you can take out the griffins and make small things. I believe in that book, I have welcomes. I have even one that you can use for a birth, because griffins are supposed to be good luck and protective and all this kind of thing. So I had to a little bit about them as I'm making them, as I'm creating them. So they were fun to do. And some of them are taking, bits and pieces of them out of really old samplers that are, that I could kind of get an idea of what kind of a griffin I wanted to make and all this. So they were a lot of fun to do. So
beautiful.
That's one. Thank you. I should have had them put these all over there so I don't have to leave, but anyway, this one is called Bramley Garden. And I like the motifs out of antique samplers, enhance them, do, all kinds of extra things and create more to go with them, and be able to make a sampler out of them. And I like to use the British names because they would probably not like it, but I think they sound quaint. So, and fun.
I like some of those names too. Yeah.
So that's a fun one. Of course, you can personalize it with your initials on. And these can be used for all kinds of other things. Anywhere from, spring ornaments to bookmarks to, all the borders can be used for, putting on banding. There's just all kinds of
endless possibilities for sure.
And that one, I think that one, if I remember right, I don't have my books in front of me, so don't quote me on this.
Okay.
But I think this one has a couple of really nice welcomes, included in the book for smaller pieces. So that's fun. And that one was with DMC floss, so easy to find.
Sure.
And try to bring over if I can hold these. Another one that it's newer, and I have a third one coming out, but this is called Creation 2. I did 1, and then I've got 3 that's being framed right now. But the idea with those is, because I put so many extras in my books, what I try to do is take them all and put them all into a sampler. So
that is awesome.
There. So that's why I call them creations. It starts out with 1 or 2 motifs, and then what can I take out of those motifs and make other motifs out of? So it's a fun process to do. And there's a teeny tiny little alphabet in there, which is
that is so sweet. And I love those colors too.
Yeah, those are all DMC, but it's almost like painting with your needle because of the change of colors. Some people like that and some people don't. So you have to be in the right mood. And then, so if you don't like changing colors, you can do this. This one is called Red Rhapsody. And it's the when you do these, you can just thread up a couple of needles and keep stitching, and so they go faster than they look.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah. And I have this one's red. I've done a rusty Rhapsody. I have a green one in the process. I have a blue one in the process. Can't remember. Oh, there's a Rosy Rhapsody, which will be coming out. So and like some of them have maybe 2 colors of floss as opposed to 1. And then I think it's the blue one. I can't remember now. One of them uses Weeks Dye Works floss. So it's 1 color, but because of the variation, it looks like one.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just more ideas that you can even do with them. So,
and all those different fonts you've got on there, you can do all sorts of things with that as well.
Exactly. So yeah, they're fun. All right, and then 2 more that I got that have a bit of a story to them. Let me see. I got this one first. So I went to when I went to England, I found out that near Cambridge there was a antique sampler show. Okay. And so I dragged my grandsons, who were not impressed with needlework at the time.
I bet not.
Me do it, but they don't want to do it. So now they're a little bit older, and they actually have done. I've taught them a few stitches, but anyway, we went to this show, and I was so impressed with some of those designs that were, if you think about the fact that they didn't have good lighting, they probably didn't have necessarily the good magnifying glasses. Maybe they had some. But if you think about that, and they put them on these little bitty, the real small, tiny linen, it's incredible.
Yeah,
These
I
were
know.
young girls. So like, it's amazing. But anyway, so there was one that, well, it seemed to be, it must have been the thing at the time to teach the girls, but they were similar to this kind of a deal where they had these big motifs, big borders. They had some kind of and then they had these hills, is what I call them, that
Yeah.
were, at the bottom of these samplers. So I liked that general idea. So, and then my daughter was in Oxford in the hospital there at the time, and there was always a sign that we went through, pointing which direction to go. And one had Summer Hill. And I thought, oh, I like to do seasons. I can do Spring Hill, Summer Hill, Autumn Hill. I can do this whole thing.
Perfect.
So this one is Spring Hill, and they all are kind of, I'll show you the Summer Hill. Autumn Hill is at the framer. That's a whole long thing. It took a little longer than I was hoping for, but this is Summer Hill.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
and all the alphabets are different. The hill is exactly the same size, but they all have different motifs in them.
That is gorgeous.
So, and Autumn Hill, like I said, is being framed, and it's on a more of a creamy color fabric, and with autumn colors. But the hills, you could actually join those up if you wanted to, because they're the same height.
Sure.
That makes sense. But yeah, so those are two, and there's been a group that has been doing a stitch along with those, and that's been fun to see what everybody does. I did these with Sullivan's floss, just because they were trying to promote their floss. So I did that, but I do have DMC conversions in the books and that kind of thing. So either way, they would be gorgeous. There was one group that did them all with silks.
Oh, wow.
So you can convert to whatever works for you, really.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, but they were, so yeah. And Winter Hill is designed. It will be, I have a gal who stitches for me that is really crazy fast. And as soon as she gets done with her current project, that'll be her next one, will be Winter Hill. So I'll get them all out there eventually.
Super. Excellent. Golly, those designs are just gorgeous. Thank you for showing them to us. The next thing I wanted to touch on a little bit, you've talked about what gets you inspired a little bit for specific designs, but do you have a special, I don't know, design process, or do you just go with it when it hits you?
Well, a little bit of everything. What I do is, because everything is done on the computer first, right? So there are some days when I call it playing. I just want to play with what I can do. And that's why creation 1, 2, and 3 came along, I was kind of playing with a motif and seeing how many ways I could change it that was enough different, but yet similar. So I was playing with that. And so some days I just do that. And then other times it will be like I said, the name inspiration of Summer Hill. And I think, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, I can do this and this and this. And so it just kind of builds from there. Typically, the name part is probably the hardest part of the design for me. But sometimes I design something and then I think, what am I going to call this? Bramley Garden was that way because I had the design, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to call it. And sometimes I can take the title out of the name if I have a saying on the sampler, you know, I want to put in there, I can take a few words out of that and then I can call it that. It just depends. But I do everything on the computer. I play with the fabrics and the threads that I want to use and try to get it right. If it's a design like the summer Quakers, spring, summer, autumn.
Yes.
Those I stitched using those Valdani threads, and I wanted to make sure that I could actually get that piece stitched with those little 12 boxes of color. So that one I totally stitched myself. And if I saw that I was running out of something, I could think, well, I might be able to change this. So there's some of that, or some of them I just know it's going to work, and others I have to play with myself to make positive. So it's the whole process for designing that sometimes it's just in a conversation that some people will say, well, have you ever done this? Well, no, but I could. So
yeah,
it gets those juices stirring up in there.
definitely. And my next question is about your upcoming shows. Do you have some trunk shows coming up, or
I do after the first of the year. Well, I'm doing the one, what is the name of it? Oh my gosh. StitchCon in Ohio.
Okay.
That one I'm not there.
Okay.
She treats it like a ginormous trunk show. I don't know if anybody has ever been, but it sounds like a lot of fun. I've never been there myself, but I send my models to her, and so then she sells them. So I've got that. There's one in right before our Nashville market show that is in, well, it's a guy that has a shop, and he is, oh my gosh, Gary, I can't pronounce his, Slay, I think. Anyway, he's going to do a trunk show, and we might do some kind of a Zoom thing or something like that. So we've got that going on. I just scheduled another one. I think she's in Massachusetts, but she'll be after Nashville. So that'll be April. So, COVID really shut down everything, as everybody knows. Right. So trunk shows are now starting to come back because people can have them in their shop, have customers in the shops. So the trunk shows are booking up, and sometimes there may be two going on, because I may say, well, okay, let's do all like the Bramley Garden, let's do all kinds of garden type things, or let's do all of like the monochromatic ones, or so there could be two going on at the same time. But basically it's keepsakes, and then Gary, I can't pronounce, Sly, I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm massacring his name and I can't remember. And then the other one is called, oh my gosh, she just booked it the other day, and she's a new shop.
That's okay, you can give me a list later if you like, and I'll add it to the
So it's that's all I have scheduled currently. But then I do the retail show in Galleria. And I don't know if she has the exact date, but sometime in September. The wholesale show is in Nashville, and then we have a Zoom wholesale show too. So, but the big one is Galleria. That one is for me, that's a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed doing that one. So,
yeah, and that was in September, wasn't it? Or
yes, it's early. Well, I think it was mid-September this year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I mean, quite frankly, because of COVID, we weren't really sure what was going to happen. many people were going to actually attend, but the attendance was good. The sales were good. And I think everybody was happy. And bottom line was nobody gets sick. That was the big thing. So,
That's wonderful.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
but she was tested twice for COVID, 2 or 3 times, I don't know, for COVID, and they said no, it's just a regular cold, little more
Yes,
stuff. So
that's good.
that was good. Yeah, we
That
were
is
happy.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Mm.
And is there anything else you would like to talk about, your store, or any thing you'd like to give the watchers, some advice on stitching, or anything you'd like to talk about?
Mostly just have fun. I do get emails. There's always somebody sometime during the week that will send me an email and say, I want to change this color,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure exactly what to change it to, or what do you think? And my advice is lay it out on your fabric, lay those floss colors out on your fabric, play with them. And the bottom line, if it makes you happy and you go, that's it, then stitch with it. I don't care if you change my colors, all good. Everybody, I think that everyone sees colors a little differently. There's some that speak to you and some that don't, and it should make you happy. I mean, that is the bottom line. It's just got to make you,
Absolutely.
yeah,
You got to enjoy what you're stitching.
that's right.
Yeah.
And it's not working for you, put it down for a little while, come back to it later.
Absolutely. Well, Karen, thank you so much for coming on. And if you have some new designs you want to show us down the road, maybe we'll do this again sometime.
That would be great. I have some, but the main ones are at the framers now, except for those couple calls that I got to send to somebody. So
Yes.
I just take a moment, if you don't mind. I right now, if somebody has ordered something on my website, I just want you to know it will come. I'm in the process of, I had to move my entire inventory, and I've got this huge mess now that I have to go straighten out. So things are behind, and I apologize greatly for that. But it will be sorted out in the next week or so, and we'll get all those orders out. So if anybody's waiting, please just be patient. I promise you it'll be worth it. I'll send you some extra goodies. So
Oh, that's so sweet, Karen. Yes, indeed. Well, thank you again so much for coming on. It was a pleasure having you here. And I'm
good.
glad you're able to get on and not have too many trouble or anything. So
Once I got back.
well, I sent you the wrong link at first, so part of that was me. But anyways.
We're good. We're good. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sarah.
All right, sweetie. We'll talk to you later then, Karen. Again, this is Karen from Rosewood Manor saying goodbye. Bye-bye.